welcome to this. And as promised, yes, we have ourselves an Impact report, a review, all of that, because after reading the spoilers for this particular Impact, I had to watch it, had to review it, because the spoilers just made this sound like it would be the very worst wrestling show, maybe 2 hours of wrestling I may have ever seen up until maybe the last year of WCW, maybe, or the last 6 months, I should say the last year, but the last 6 months of WCW, because the spoilers looked bad. The spoilers looked very bad. But unfortunately, what the spoilers did not have was Booker T and Kevin Nash on commentary, and their roles as Chet Lemon and Black Snow. This was the most awesome thing ever. And I do mean that. This saved the first 80 minutes of this show, which was full of absolutely bullshit. I will freely say. There was, I guess you could say the Team 3D Sting match wasn't bullshit, but the first 80 minutes of this show was fucking bullshit. It was crap, it was horrible, and was just god-awful if it wasn't for the fact of Kevin Nash and Booker T were being absolutely hilarious, were being extremely entertaining. Booker T was being more entertaining than I have seen him in since probably joining TNA. It was awesome to hear them go at it, and pointed out something that, the fans often gripe about TNA and West, but I think one thing this show definitely showed was that I actually think TNA and West do just as much to hurt the quality of TNA's product as maybe even the booking, because after about 80 minutes, I guess, TNA and West came back, and the show went absolutely downhill because of that very reason. Up until you got to the main event, and the main event was shit too. Don't get me wrong, the main event was crap, but at least it was okay wrestling, even though the booking of it was just bullshit. But let's get talking about this wonderful Impact, because I did say I would do a review of it, because I said this would either be the most horrid thing I'd ever seen, I believe I said it would be the funniest thing I ever saw, or it would be, something that was very funny, not trying to be funny, and I think it was more of the middle, to be honest. We started out the night, the Main Event Mafia did a spot at the start of the show. It was basically their version of like the NWO, this message brought to you thing by the NWO, Main Event Mafia style, reeked of the NWO. I was just like, good God. It was not a good start to the night, I will be honest. Even though it was a good little promo, it was not something I necessarily wanted to see. Then we go to the back. Kurt Angle is at the desk. He's taken Jeff Jarrett's desk over, and says that they are going to take over. Forget if this makes any sense or not, because most of this night made absolutely no sense. And I just finally said, fuck it, I'm not going to worry about it. And that Main Event Mafia was going to take over. They were going to book all the matches. They were going to set up all the matches, and that's what we were going to get. And so the first match we got was going to be the Concourage of Slanger Bolt, Raka Khan, Rasha Shashid, and Awesome Kong versus ODB by herself. And to make sure that it would just be ODB by herself, they stuck Roxy and Tyler Wilde and kicked them out of the building. Which ODB was told this by Sharmell, who was doing the interviews backstage, which she did about 1,000 jobs better than the girl they usually have do it, which is actually saying something, because I actually think the blonde that they usually have doing it is actually okay, but Sharmell was actually pretty good at it, and actually added some nice little touches. ODB, went a little overboard, it seemed. I don't know, it seemed like she was just going a little bit overboard, so that was kind of crazy. And then, of course, we got Scott Steiner doing the ring intros, which was also golden. I left him out of that little Kevin Nash, Booker T equation, because Scott Steiner, dear God, thank you, Scott Steiner, because his, I don't think, was meant... I think his wasn't meant to be as funny, but it was very funny in a very perverse way. And I think he probably got that and probably beefed it up a little bit, so to speak, but it was pretty hilarious to hear him do the intros. You know, cursing and all of that, it was fairly good. But we got the first match, which was a 3-on-1 handicap match, which sucked balls, to be completely honest. I mean, it sucked utter balls, in my opinion. There was nothing very good about this match, even when they got the women that were good in the match. The fact that Kong, you know, was hurt meant that she wasn't in the match very much. It was just pretty much, yeah. I was getting fairly bored with it, except that Kevin Nash and Booker T were being absolutely hilarious. One thing though, Booker T was talking a lot. You could tell that, you know, this wasn't something they had practiced, because Booker T was talking over Kevin Nash a lot, and Kevin Nash was basically just sitting there letting Booker talk. I do think they could have went back to TNA and probably dubbed over the original commentary and made it a little bit more even. But Booker was just absolutely fantastic, and it added so much entertainment to a show that was just, this was just absolutely horrible. Yeah. Then we got Cornette freaking out about Kurt Angle and all of that sort of thing. And then we got this weird thing where Jeremy Borash was backstage, and Angle said, hey, you used to be, you know, with me, but now that Karen's left, you're not with me anymore. I think you just wanted to, you know, get close to me to be with Karen, which seemed a little out of place. You would think that they would have done that months ago, but apparently they did it here, and they made JB go out and sell Main Event Mafia t-shirts. That was kind of funny as well. Then we got a handicap match between Rudy Charles, Andrew Thomas, who were referees, and Booker T. This was crap as well, but we got Kevin Nash and Scott Steiner on commentary, and when Booker T was being introduced, when he was playing his role as the commentator, he was like going in and out. He was saying, you know, Booker T's drinking his water, and then he would start drinking his water and say, "See, Booker T, see, look," and it was funny and hilarious the way him and Kevin Nash were doing it, and worked absolutely beautiful. And then we got Nash on the commentary, and the commentary was absolutely funny and hilarious, as was this. And the referees just got their asses handed to them, and it was just bleh. And at this point, I noticed that the fans were not into this at all, because they could not hear the commentary. They were just sitting there going, "What's going on? Why did we waste our time coming in here and watching this? This is bad." Because again, they couldn't hear the commentary, because the commentary was hilarious and saved a lot of this sort of thing. And then we got Charmel in the back talking to Matt Morgan. This was kind of funny, and this would lead to Petey Williams versus Matt Morgan, where Petey Williams would have his arm tied behind his back. That's right, his arm tied behind his back to take on Matt Morgan. Now, as stupid as that sounds, this gets worse, because they actually let Petey Williams get offense on Matt Morgan while his hand was tied behind his back. Okay, TNA, I'm going to bitch about this. Matt Morgan is the one true big man you have. He's the only real big man you have. He's the biggest man you probably have had since Tom Cole left. Okay, you need a guy like this. You need a guy like this to look like a monster, badass motherfucker. That's what you need. And what do? You have Petey Williams actually get in offense on him with one hand tied behind his back. Good going, TNA. You know, and then later they had Petey Williams get out. You know, the referee for revenge against Booker T took off the rope, and Petey Williams had both hands while Matt Morgan was talking to Scott Steiner, because this was to set up Scott Steiner versus Petey Williams at the pay-per-view. And the Booker T and Nash were making fun of Petey Williams still trying to be Scott Steiner, even though, you know, Scott Steiner had beaten the crap out of him and done all that stuff. So, blah. But Matt Morgan eventually won, which was good. But again, Petey Williams offense while his hand was tied behind his back. No. Should not have happened. Should not have happened anywhere. But it was what it was. And then all hell broke loose. Out came Eric Young. Out came Consequences Creed. as Steiner put in the recliner on Williams. This was saved and wonderful as the front line was getting beaten down because Booker T took his mic, was beating down the main event Mafia, and still staying in character and calling the beatdown. Beautiful and hilarious. It was marvelous, I must say, even though the rest of it made absolutely no sense and we got more main event Mafia burying the front line. Woo! Next, we got our handicap match, which was supposed to be the even handicap. This was supposed to even the odds because it was just going to be Team 3D versus Sting. This was supposed to set up, Sting being pissed off at Kurt Angle, which is going to, of course, lead to, Sting and Kurt Angle, and Sting leaving and being face, I'm sure. Some people have really liked this. I thought this was fairly boring, and just kind of blah. But again, the commentating by Nash and Booker T was pretty good. The intros by Steiner on this was absolutely hilarious. It was pretty good, and yeah, that, again, that's pretty much the commentary just made this so much better than it was. I'm not a big fan of handicap matches anyways, particularly when you're talking about a face handicap going on against a heel, and it ended in DQ, which I guess was okay. It furthered the storyline, which is the point, I would imagine. And then after the break, the show went completely downhill as Mick Foley showed up with backup of who all did he show up with? He showed up with Abyss and the rest of the front line, and it was okay. And LAX, and announced that LAX would take on Kurt Angle in a handicap match at the end of the night. Yay! And that Scott Steiner would take on Abyss in a weapons match where only the weapons were legal for Abyss. And we got, unfortunately, Mike Tenay and Don West back as our beloved play-by-play team. And this just ruined the rest of the show, to be honest, because the rest of this because we still got crappy matches, and on top of that, we got crappy commentator, and we didn't get the fun, entertaining commentary we got before. And so it made the rest of the night not very good. And Scott Steiner versus Abyss was blah, in my opinion. Was just kind of there. And then, and during this, Suicide came down, which apparently was Christopher Daniels, who actually really played up the Suicide character pretty well. And I would say this, I would love to see Suicide be actually used properly and be the guy to beat the main event Mafia guys for the title in some sort of weird fashion, and then reveal that he's the fallen angel. That would be awesome, in my opinion. Then we had the freaking the main event, LAX versus Kurt Angle. You're talking about Kurt Angle taking on one of what is supposed to be one of your elite tag teams, and yeah, I don't think so. Pretty much LAX should have just destroyed Kurt Angle from start to finish, and that's really not what we got. This should have been a lot of, the main event Mafia getting its comeuppance, so to speak, by the front line, and that's really not what we got. This was, I bitch when the WWE does this. I'm bitching now because there was no reason why this should have ended the way it was. There's no reason Kurt Angle should have went over on this match. People will probably like the match because it was a good match, but the booking was crap. I mean, it made no sense. So basically you're saying that after you looked like you were going to push Hernandez for the title, now you're not, because now him and Homicide can't beat Kurt Angle. Hernandez should be able to beat Kurt Angle by himself. If he has someone else in the ring with him, he should, by God, be able to murder Kurt Angle. Doesn't work. Didn't like it. And as I said, we didn't have the great commentary from before, and so that is what we got. Overall, I would not. This just wound up being, to me, your basic Impact, where at the end, because I think all of the entertaining and wonderful stuff that was at the beginning basically got ruined by the end of the night, because you brought back the original commentary team, and you had basically 2 matches that were kind of, yeah, in my opinion. But, like I said, we'll have to see where this goes. We'll have to see how this happens, and, you know, it was good. It was, you know, again, I would say watch this for the first, like, 80 minutes, as Booker and Nash and Steiner are absolutely freaking hilarious, are extremely entertaining, and, yeah, was just absolutely kick-ass. And then at the end, at the very, very end, when I thought that nothing else could happen, I was surprised. All of a sudden, we see this man. Short hair, looks kind of familiar. By the back, he turns around, and it's Samoa Joe. And it's him telling the main event Mafia he's coming back. And they haven't seen the real Samoa Joe, and they were about to see the real Samoa Joe. All of this while there was a big Samoan face paint on his face. And I was just going, I have no faith that they can book Joe. I haven't had any faith they can book Joe for about 1.5 years now. I don't know where they're going to go with it. I don't know what the face paint was for. I'm sure people are gonna start comparing him now to Umaga, which isn't really fair. I mean, why? Why would you do this? Why would you even give him something on his face that would make people even think Umaga? Why would you do this? This is stupid. This is moronic. I will say this, though. He did look like he might have actually gained weight while he was gone, which is not a good thing. I'm a huge Samoa Joe fan, as most people who've watched me for a long time know. And if he's gained weight, that's not a good thing. He actually needs to lose some weight so that his knees can actually be usable again and his back can actually be healed up. Maybe it was just the way it was filmed. I don't know. Maybe he'll come in and he'll actually be somewhat leaner, a little bit more, you know, stuff. But hey, it is what it was. Overall, I would say it was, you know, from start to finish, I would say it was an average Impact. But, you know, the first 80 minutes is absolutely golden, except for the wrestling. The in-ring crap was crap and was only saved by the commentary stuff. And the end of the show was not very good, in my opinion, and just kind of, you know, very much like Raw. Very much, you know, except that, you know, it was 10 minutes of Raw. I don't think made Raw a completely horrible show. I think it didn't help any matters, but I don't think it made a horrible show. 20 minutes of this, you know, or I guess it was more than 20. I guess it was more than 20. It was 40 minutes. 40 minutes of this was not good, in my opinion, and I did not care for it. And yeah, it left a bad taste in my mouth. But you know, Nash and Booker and Scott Steiner, they brought it. They brought a good time. They entertained me for while they had the chance to entertain me. Unfortunately, they had to bring back West and TNA. Please, TNA, your fans have begged for this. People on the internet have begged for this. Can we, you know, you could use them in better spots. You really could. I mean, Don West, whenever he does stuff backstage for interviews, does a really, really good job. A much better job than he does calling matches. And, you know, and I love Mike Tenay. I really do. I respect Mike Tenay. But dear God, get him from calling matches, because he's just not good. He's not. I mean, you know, I mean, say what you will about Michael Cole. Michael Cole doesn't make you not want to watch. That doesn't make you feel bad for watching. And these two guys have a tendency to do that. And it was very evident. It was very evident, because as soon as you took Nash and Booker off the commentary, I mean, this show just went to crap. So, you know, But anyways, that is all for this. This is my little review. Have a good one. I am out.